All right.
Thanks a lot.
Topic at hand is the integrity of the news and how does one get the truth. Let's
Pretty
start
straightforward.
from the left to the right. Erwin,
All right.
what are your thoughts?
Yes.
So who's that? So who's that?
What?
Who's going first?
What are your thoughts?
Sorry.
What are your thoughts on news integrity, on the integrity of the news and such?
Well, on genuinely the integrity of the news, it's wonky at best. Bigger, bigger companies like CNN and Channel One, I can normally say that we should just dismiss them for the most part. Although from what I've heard, smaller news channels, they're okay.
Okay, so the big
obviously.
names you can mostly dismiss, like CNN, Channel One, but the smaller ones, bless you, can somewhat be trusted. My opinion on the matter is
Yep.
what?
He muted.
Okay, my stance on the subject is that our news media, I see it as a reporter by reporter basis. But the problem is the mass majority of mainstream reporters, like Don Lemon, Brian Stelter, people like that. Could you please mute yourself, Elijah? You just had like a spasm. But yeah, they are mostly like not real news. I don't want to use a certain term that that our president uses, but it does apply. But no, it's because like these news reporters they've lied, they've manipulated the truth, and they sort of fall into this picture, which it's a picture I just showed you guys. I'm putting it onto my screen right now. That they sort of play this weird game of like just making this narrative of Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, where anything he stands for, they go against. I kid you not, today, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, and I believe that was women's voting rights, Trump was giving a pardon to Susan B. Anthony, who is a key women's suffrage leader who got arrested for voting as a woman. So on the 100th anniversary to commemorate, he pardoned her, and a lot of these news company organizations literally just ragged on him. They were saying, "Oh, it's just him trying to get like suburban white women to vote for him," or some of them even, I kid you not, ragged on Susan B. Anthony, saying stuff like, "Oh, she was against abortion," or "Oh, she was an evangelical." I'm like, what the hell?
Wait, they actually did that?
Yes, he
That's
actually
Just like disregarding
he's
everything she
he said
said
he's
for
planning
so
on
long.
pardoning. He's planning on pardoning her.
Bloody hell.
It's posthumanist, I believe it's called. Posthumanist pardoning, where you pardon someone who's dead. But it's still, that's a very good thing, commemorating it. I don't particularly I'm neutral on it,
Pretty nice.
Yeah, it is nice, but
Yeah, it's pretty noble.
yeah, I think it's on a reporter by reporter basis, because like Fox News is mostly very crazy and very conspiratorial, but like you have people like my personal favorite mainstream news reporter is Tucker Carlson, because he's biased, but he won't let that cloud what he says. He'll still say the truth, more or less. In fact, he's actually had Antifa on his show, I believe. But yeah, Antifa, yeah. Tucker Carlson of Fox News.
Ooh. Man.
All right, Jason, what are your thoughts on this?
Honestly, I think that most of like the news and like stuff like that, I think most of them do it to make more money, obviously, because they
Yeah.
use like fear mongering a lot.
Yeah, like money
Especially, like,
making and
news
stuff.
articles. So, like the news channels are kind of fine, but you can tell that they lie very often. Like they don't like scream at the top of the voice and like get people scared. That's like the news articles' jobs. But like the channels are okay.
Yeah. So like
And
your
I
issue
think
with
the only
them
way to get like
your issue with them is that like
continue.
you think they're doing a lot of the stuff for money, not actually trying to inform people. They try to fearmonger or try to like sort of just okay.
Like that's how a lot of companies like operate now. Like think of like Nintendo.
Nintendo,
You
yeah.
can tell that they care. You can tell that they care, but like caring is like an afterthought. He is like on the forefront.
Yeah. But
Like
that's that
companies that are
yeah.
like beloved and like things of that sort. Like a- after time, it just happens.
Yeah.
People take over, and then money becomes involved.
Yeah.
Mhm. Agree.
Yeah.
Well, unless the owner puts in something that prevents that, which is highly.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Elijah?
Man, fuck you. Nah, I'm just
Do you
kidding.
want me to mute?
No, it's okay.
Nah, don't. So my personal thoughts on this is that news outlets have become more untrustworthy because they are more focused on getting out as quickly as possible. Because of the rise of the internet, it's easier to get access. So unless you don't have it first, then like, why would I watch you if you don't have the story out first? I can just literally get it from 1,000 other different news outlets. So they don't care about the reliable resources. They just want to get it out first because what Jason said, they want to get the money, they want to get the clicks and views. That's why they're like, "Yo, Trump's the worst thing since Hitler." That's why some of them act like that. And then some news outlets like, "Yo, Trump's the best thing that ever happened to us since fucking Jesus Christ." Fucking love that guy. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
he's not even that.
So,
Some of the things that I see on like my Google, mostly like I press Google and then I go to the news, and when like half of the things that I see about Donald Trump are like completely false. Like you see an article about like something like how Elijah said like Trump's like the next Hitler, and like you just go look it up for yourself and do like 1 second of research to find out that it's false. Like half of the accusations are false. Like Trump didn't even
Or
say half
completely
of the
over
things.
exaggerate.
And like, don't get me wrong, I don't like him either. Like he's not the best person in the
He's
world,
the
but like
worst.
yeah.
He's the worst modern president
spreading
we
false
have.
information
Well,
is not
I
gonna
would
make
I would
that
argue
better.
that Bill Clinton is worse, given he
Oh,
put
Bill
in.
Clinton, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
He's probably worse. Yeah, he's probably worse.
His name
Yeah,
is
the
Bill. What
raping
do
of
you
those,
expect?
the raping of those girls and the whole Monica Lewinsky
Yeah.
situation.
I did
Remember
not have
Bill
sexual
Cosby?
relations with a woman. I did not.
Oh, fun thing, and I think we might get actually banned from YouTube if I say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Did you know that he was on the flight logs of Epstein's plane? Not saying where, because it doesn't
Oh.
say where, but one of the victims of Epstein in court documents literally by name outed Bill Clinton, former US president, as being on Epstein's pedo island with 2 underage women.
Yep. Yep, the
Was
Clintons
it
are
Bingo.
Will
involved.
Smith over there
And
too?
not a single news source
And
is
hey,
saying
Will-
a word about it. Not a peep about it.
Yikes.
Didn't Will Smith
I'm
go
pretty
there
sure they
too?
don't want to end up.
Wait, Will Smith? No,
Yeah, I
bro,
saw
you
an article
lying.
that said that Will Smith
No,
went there.
I don't.
You're
I don't
fucking
think I saw his
lying.
name. There was like a list of people who were like outed or people who were on the flight charts, but I think the only person who was actually named in the court documents by one of the victims was Bill Clinton. I think though one other person who's probably going to be outed too because is Al Gore. I think was on the flight logs. Al Gore.
Who? Al Gore?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
my
he
God,
was.
Al
Oh, he
Gore.
attempted to run for president a few years. I think in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I can't remember. He was ranting about climate.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cheated because of electoral college.
Hmm.
Didn't he get the popular vote? But
No.
didn't get enough electoral college for it.
Wait.
Does not matter in the
Wait.
slightest. if
Who is
gets
he? Wait, I
reelected.
think didn't he lose by a actual like 49 state landslide? Al Gore?
Really? I don't remember.
I believe he was. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that was one of the 2 times that someone has won with a 49 state landslide. Was
What was the second time?
I think it was Reagan's reelection actually.
Wow.
But yeah. So wait, Erwin, say your stance again.
That most major news outlets can be dismissed for the most part. The smaller ones can be a little more trustworthy, considering
Okay.
they don't really have the ability to be all that biased. And
Yeah.
they still need their following.
Yeah. So what I've seen just now
I mean,
is that as we all agree that the news is bad, that it's kind of lost a lot of its integrity, but we all have different reasons as to
Hold
why.
up.
Yeah,
can I ask a question?
sure.
Do you honestly think that they need to do this? And like, if they do, shouldn't we just like find another system to relay news, like a local
Well, I
thing,
mean,
like
we do have stuff
physical
like
or
that.
in person?
We do have like
I mean, I know
individual.
newspapers, but like,
True. Newspapers, though.
how do you know that those aren't false either?
Yeah. What I'm saying is,
Papers.
Newspapers are
and that's actually what we're talking about here, is how can someone get the truth or the facts in this current climate? But what I'd like to know is, I've noticed we all agree that the news is like not good right now. It has very low integrity and stuff, but we all have different reasons or different like ideas of that. Erwin believes it's a matter of just the fact that they're big allows them to lie so much. My opinion is that individual people are more powerful, so that they can lie more, and the individual ones usually don't. Sometimes they do. Jason believes it's a matter of just them being about money, and just money, 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 money. And each and every one of us has a different view of it. So that actually changes the conversation into the second point of how can someone in this current climate get the truth. I personally believe that even in the most wrong, incorrect, factually false articles, there is at least a tiny, tiny snippet of the truth.
Yeah, obviously, because like you can't make an article off of like based off of a lie. Like there has to be like a tiny bit of truth to
Yeah.
expand
Yes.
the
Well,
article off of.
which is
I mean, you have
Which
news
is why I
organizations
have a
made just to do that.
and
That's
Just
true.
to tell
building
lies.
on to that point, I why I have a half of the time agree on the same thing.
Can't hear her.
Yeah, you were just
Yeah,
like
your mic is
clipping out,
fucking up.
cutting out. He's using his wireless headphones.
Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah, wireless headphones do not work.
I'm
They
using
are.
headphones that are like half
Sorry.
broken.
Yeah, no. I tried using my Raycons before on Discord, and they suck ass. It's just better.
Well, I mean, those are
to listen to it
AirPods. He's using
without
like
wireless.
the full on like headphone type things.
Headphones. Yeah, I just feel like I don't know, like wireless, just in general, not good
Yeah, true. But
most of the time.
but yeah, I think that even there was a news article that came out. They were like this whole news cycle of them saying that Trump supporters were stealing mail trucks, mailboxes, and all that stuff to stop people from voting. What actually happened, there is a snippet of truth there, was that they were, yes, removing mailboxes, but the actual was the USPS's system of removing unused mailboxes. If a mailbox is below a certain level of traffic after a certain period of time, they just get rid of it and put it in different areas of more congested people to possibly, have more there. If like a place where their mailboxes are constantly flooded, they'll just put in another one. They'll take one from a lesser congested area to a more congested area. But so that that
hasn't
little
that been
snippet is there.
something for a while?
Yes, that's been there since.
So it's more so trying.
Hmm?
Sorry. So it's more so trying to just connect the dots on actual
Yeah.
information and
Yeah, because like
People do a
more
good
so
job
you'll
of
see
saying
different
things that are, like,
articles.
unrelated.
Yeah, because let me say this: we learned after the fact that like that was just them getting rid of unused ones, But like we already knew that
Yeah,
was
but
an
it was
already
too
system. Yeah, that's the problem though.
Because
But,
it
like,
spread too far, and
everyone
people,
needs
like,
to-
don't wanna do their own like education.
True. I think people need to actually like go about it like this. If you see a news article that says something, try to find the source of it. Try to find where like the information came from. Like even then,
do some research.
yeah, simple. Because even something as simple as a source could give you like a completely different thing as what they told you. Like after the 4th of July speech from Trump. By the way, I'll tell you what. If that was my first thing I've ever saw about him, I would have actually liked him. I don't particularly like him. I think he's just not a bad president, but he's not a good president.
I think he's pretty
he's
bad.
just
True.
a
He's
president.
pretty bad.
He's a president. That's as far as I'll go
He did
personally.
some good things, but
He's done some good things, but like that's the thing. Like I said, I would think
Some.
I would think he was a good president if I only saw his 4th of July speech and not anything before that. I think he's actually changed. Interesting enough, like he used to be much more aggressive against people. Like he would have, like he was asked
Oh
in
yeah,
an interview.
all those like things that he said about women and stuff. That
Yeah,
was in
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
2018, I think, or like
Yeah, yeah.
something of that sort.
And he just stopped doing that. Like, interestingly enough, he was asked like a couple days ago, after this whole like conspiracy thing happened, where some people were claiming that Kamala was not a U.S. citizen or she wasn't born here. And they asked Trump like, "Hey, there's all this like news stuff about this," and Trump literally says, I believe he said this. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. I had no idea about that. That I'm pretty sure the Democrats would have looked into something like that when looking at her for their VP pick.
Wow. This is very ironic. Since he's the guy who spearheaded is
Build a
Obama
wall.
really here? Where's his birth certificates at?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
That's wild. All right.
So he said that.
Character development,
Wait,
okay.
let me finish.
Compared that president.
First off,
Oh,
the
my
news
bad.
media said stuff like Trump is coining this birther conspiracy that Kamala Harris was not actually from this country. It was like he didn't say that. He did not say that. He just said, I'm pretty sure the Democrats would have looked into something like that. That's all he said. I have no clue about that exact words. But think,
Wow.
if this were 2018, if this were like even like early
He would've
2019,
been a lot more aggressive about it.
even if this was like 2019, Trump would have called her every name in the book. He would have called her everything. He would have insulted her to kingdom come. It would have been an hour of just a singular roast session of Kamala Harris the second that her name went out of that reporter's mouth. But he just, like, something changed in him.
I mean, honestly, do you
One,
think he's
I
changing
wish I
because
could've-
of COVID, or like to like give himself a good impression for the election?
So that could be it. But it could also be this. We have quotes from his administration of his early days as president, and they were saying, like, the whole business side of him was sort of overshadowing everything. So, like, you know, as a businessman or a CEO or something, you could just snap your fingers and change your business, right? But, like, you
Yeah.
can't exactly do that as a president of a country. You have to, like, go through legal processes. And, like, they talk about how there were times where they had to explain them, look, you can't just do this. You have to have a legal process. You have to go through these sort of hoops. And Trump was, like, not getting it. He was very much so not presidential. He was very much so, like, that business side of him, that businessman, the deal maker you see in his book and stuff, like that guy who gets his goddamn deals done, like, is aggressive and stuff. That's what was overshadowed. Now I think he's sort of changed and has, in a way, become it. Even if it's like 1% more presidential, in a sense, he's
So
more.
it's more so that he's just learned and adapted.
Yeah, he's learned how to run a country, or how to not
I
be a businessman.
I feel like he
Yeah,
should have
but
known
too
that
little,
though.
too late, man.
Too little, too late. Yeah, I
feel
know.
Like he should have already known this stuff already.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
not.
like, but now
How do you like apply to run the entire country and not, or like not know economics
Well, that's
either?
well, he does know
Like, know
economics.
something.
Let's not make the
Have a
point of that. Let's not
I mean-
make that a point. He has a degree in economics.
I mean, things have gotten quite better with him as president.
Yeah,
Yeah,
economics wise, but
I
like,
take that back. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yeah, but I'm good. But that's the thing, though.
economy's sort of shit.
Now, but
I just remembered what the economy was like before Trump, and like, yeah, I take it back.
yeah, but like, let me say this though, because I sidetracked way too much. Then during the 4th of July speech, he said he was going to make a garden of heroes. He said he was going to make a garden of heroes and put statues, because, you know, at this time you had statues being torn down of even like Union soldiers. Like, you had Ulysses S. Grant.
No, that's awful.
You know, you even had founding fathers being torn down, their statues and stuff. And I believe during the early days of the riots, even a 9/11 memorial was defiled.
Yikes.
Bastards.
But
That's not cool.
that is not cool. But the media said after that he was calling Confederates heroes. That's what the media was saying about it. That he was calling Confederates heroes.
Even though Trump said explicitly that he was not going to be putting in Confederates.
Yeah, he said. I think he said non-Confederate soldiers. He said either that, or he said he basically said that in there that he wasn't doing Confederate soldiers. I think he said non-Confederate non-Confederate statues. But that's the thing.
Bingo.
That's the thing. Everyone could get that 4th of July speech, right? You could just go onto even YouTube and just look up Donald Trump 4th of July speech and just look around a tiny bit, you'll find the full video. So it's a matter of people, like you said, just doing a tiny bit of research. Even a tiny bit can help, you know? But there is an
Even 1
issue.
second can enlighten you.
Sure.
What happened?
Sure.
Okay. But
Bruh.
yeah, no, it's also, but just doing research can't help if all the media is saying the same thing. So people do need to open themselves up more. Like, I don't particularly agree with some of the things he says, but Steven Crowder or Tim Pool or people like that.
Steven Crowder. Yikes.
Yeah, but like, you watch, at least they're better than the media in this way. Steven Crowder has a show called Change My Mind where he'll go to places and say and post something like I don't know, the COVID death numbers are inflated, or America's not racist. Change my mind.
Yeah,
And
that one was really wrong. That was.
he'll have people go and talk to him and trying to change his mind. But the thing is, and I'm not 100% sure about the earlier episodes, but at least the newer ones, when he makes a particular point, he'll show on the bottom the exact source, so you can go look it up and get the source yourself. But so it's also a matter of sourcing. That's one thing. But lastly, people need to be more open. My dad doesn't want to watch like Tim Pool or Steven Crowder for his exact for the reason because he thinks they're too biased. And I'm like, well, sure, but shouldn't you take their opinion in consideration, right? Like, yeah, sure, Steven Crowder might say a lot of like things because he's very very religious Catholic, like on the political compass test he literally said that sex before marriage is immoral. I don't personally agree with that, but they do make some good points, and they do say some things that should be taken into consideration, and they do in some ways. Like, and this goes into like more like niche news sources, because there's always going to be a news site or a source where you can get the truth or get even 80% of the truth better than the mainstream media. People have to be more open about getting that. I mean, you have to be more open about going there, like.
Yeah, basically.
There is a big issue here.
Which is.
It's more so a case of the people needing
What was that?
Of incentive to look into them.
They need to they need incentive, right? Is that what you're saying?
Hmm?
There's no real incentive to tell the truth, especially in this world. The media is, and I can say this with truth, they're biased. They have a bias. A lot of them towards Democrats and stuff like that. So they do have a fit narrative that they want to fulfill. That being Trump bad, Republicans bad, conservatives are evil. They're dumbasses who think COVID doesn't exist and stuff.
They will eat your babies. They will.
Yeah. They say the critic, but that's the thing. People then believe that stuff. They believe that so much. That so much if someone is a conservative or is not even a full-on Democrat, you shouldn't listen to them. They're crazies. That's what people like my family believe. That's what people like my mom, my dad believe.
I used to believe that.
I kind of used to believe that as well.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They've nurtured this. My dad said something interesting a couple weeks ago. He said that Trump brings out the worst in people, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I don't personally believe it. What I think it is the media's version of Trump brings out the worst in people because they'll say all these things about Trump that are not true. That whole thing about him calling neo-Nazis very fine people? That's fake. That was not true.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because if you watch the original speech, if you watch the original speech, he says, and I quote, and I quote, and I am not talking about neo-Nazis and white nationalists. They should be condemned totally. But you had people there other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists.
They were generally just moderates that did not want historical places being defined.
I don't want to talk about that part, but I'm but it's they made this fake narrative, and then people started going off on Trump and Trump supporters and stuff, and saying you're evil, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're an evil person. To the point,
Throwing drinks at people.
Yeah.
Who wear MAGA hats.
Yeah. And Andy No. Yeah. Andy No. They threw a special milkshake enema gave him brain damage, I believe. That's bad.
Oh yeah, they have concrete because like,
Hey, I'm gonna
especially
go
Antifa,
now.
they have
What?
concrete in them.
I have to do some stuff. I have to like
Okay.
practice Mandarin and like flute and stuff. So I have to.
Right.
This was
Alright.
I
fun
miss
though.
you.
See you, man. See you in a bit.
Goodbye,
See
my
you.
friend.
Have a nice one.
So you suck. Nah, kidding. Damn it.
But
I was gonna say he sucks at Ninjago.
Wait, what was that? Wait, what was that about that guy's brain damage?
okay, so Andy, no, it wasn't that it was hit with actual concrete. It was that it was yes concrete, but it wasn't like solid. He was hit with a special type of concrete that if it hits your skin, burns it. But he was also hit with a bunch of other stuff that caused brain bleed and brain damage. That's very bad. That's the thing, though. What did the media start doing after that? They started calling Andy Ngo all these awful things. They called him a Nazi. They called him a racist. They said he was making a kill list of Antifa members and stuff. And it was like, Jesus Christ, you know? But like, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's just awful.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
What happens if you are told the president of the United States called neo-Nazis and white nationalists very fine people? You're gonna be terrified. You're going to say, especially you, Elijah, minority. You're gonna think that any Trump supporter is like a racist, a bigot, or stuff. And you had actually this one crazy Antifa woman about a couple years ago who was going to a protest, a right-wing protest, and said she was going to quote get herself some Nazi scalps. So you have this.
What?
Yeah, she said she showed a picture of a broken bottle and said, "I'm gonna get myself some Nazi scalps." But I know, but okay, see ya. But like my point is, my dad said Trump brings out the worst in me. It's that no, the media will give you this awful vision of Trump, and he's not exactly the perfect fucking saint. He's not. He's definitely not. But he's better than. He's not like a full-on Nazi or a racist and stuff. He's not worse than Hitler and stuff. People just make all of these benign statements about him, the media particularly, and that's what brings out the worst in people because of fear. People think Trump is this evil dictator, and it's also a matter some people don't know what the government can or can't do. So there's a story of a bunch of because people will constantly rag on Trump for the whole COVID response. Oh, you failed as a response. It's like the federal government can't do anything. The federal government can't do anything over the states. It's your local government who did the response. So if New York had very bad death numbers, that's on Cuomo. That's on De Blasio. Especially De Blasio.
Yeah, definitely De Blasio. I'm still quite sour at the whole thing during the time the riots were worse here. That he denied the governor's offer of sending in the state troops. I mean, bloody hell!
Oh, he did worse than that. Much worse. He actually said, and I quote, he made a ban on large gatherings because of COVID and stuff. And when asked about the Black Lives Matter protests, he said those are fine. Yeah, but like that's the thing though, is that people think the government has all this power, and the worst part, you have even government officials who think they have this power. You remember the whole thing about Michael Bloomberg, and he wanted to ban big drinks, large drinks, and big gulps and stuff.
Yep.
Or even Vice President hopeful Kamala Harris. Well, I don't know what the Democratic VP pick, Kamala Harris, who tried to arrest parents, who said she was going to arrest parents for their child's truancy. These people think that government can genuinely do that. They think the government could genuinely arrest a parent for their child not going to school. They think they could genuinely ban big drinks. They genuinely think they could do all this crap. And that's the thing. People do that. People think that too. Yeah, but people think that as well. And it's benign. It's awful to me because that's the thing. People are uneducated. They only watch certain news sources that lie. They've lied and bring out the worst in people. Again, that's the thing. It's not Trump that's bringing out the worst in people. It's the media's version of Trump that brings out the worst in people. And not only that, it's also the media just themselves. Yeah, it's just the media themselves because they've done worse as well. You know? And like even also social media sites. Did you know?
Yeah, especially to a certain Redditor.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Wait, say that again?
His name is A-hole Go away.
A certain senator, you
That
said?
Redditor's name was... No, Reddit, a guy on Reddit.
Oh, right, right.
He was held in blackmail
Yeah, I know
by
what you're saying.
CNN because he made a GIF.
Yeah. But, that's... Oh, it's also social media sites because, there's a Cato Institute study that said 62% of Americans don't feel comfortable saying their political opinions. They don't feel comfortable because they think someone will get offended. And let me say this. Of that percentage, the only people in the entire political spectrum who thought who majority felt comfortable they could say their opinions on the internet were the far left, were strong liberals. Why? Because everyone else will get banned for saying their political opinions. And the thing is, that's the funny thing.
And
You know why Alex Jones was banned off of Twitter and all these other sites? Because they said he was pushing conspiracy theories. Which, yes,
yeah,
some of the things Alex Jones says are pretty...
Yeah, that's partially true, at least.
But that's the thing. There are people who put out actual conspiracy theories, like, oh, Trump's secret police are going into Portland, and, and snatching people up in the dead of night didn't happen. The federal DHS, the Homeland Security, went out to detain 2 people. They were uniformed. You could see their badge numbers, so you knew who they were. And they detained 2 people in unmarked vehicles that all officers of the law have had since cars have existed, and detained them. The only crime that happened there was that they detained one of the guys for 90 minutes, and I believe the legal amount of time you can detain someone is for 60. But they did nothing wrong there. But the thing is, they push the conspiracy theory. Trump's secret police were going out in the dead of night and snatching up people and stuff, and other crazy conspiracy theory. Oh, Trump supporters are stealing mail trucks and mailboxes. Oh, white supremacists are going about and starting all this violence in these riots. They actually said that. But yeah, which is technically true because Antifa are racist white supremacists.
well, some supremacists anyway, they are. It's pretty much a mess now.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
These conspiracy theories are being heralded on social media. People aren't getting banned for them. Nobody's getting banned or even warned because of it. It's
that's true.
it's crazy.
The double standard there.
Yeah, and that's an even worse thing. I call for Section 230 reform, which thank God, at least they're trying to do something to change Section 230, the federal government. Is that, the Section 230 says that the only thing you can ban on your website is illegal speech and, quote, objectionable speech. There's no definition of objectionable, so they can say whatever they want is objectionable and ban it. But
and henceforth, you could ban whoever.
Yeah, they can ban whoever they want.
That might span multiple countries and or continents.
Yeah, but that's the issue. There is that you have people on Twitter saying literally illegal things. Vouching for illegal things, vouching for murder, vouching for rape, vouching for child pornography, saying things that are demonic. Demonic. There's a whole subculture of people who try to find and ban pedophiles. Yeah, MAPs, as they like to be called. But they're not banned. They're not banned. MAPs, minor attracted persons. That's what they actually call themselves.
Yeah, they're just actually pedophiles.
They're just pedophiles. There's no even anything to say.
Title.
Yeah, but that's the thing. These people are saying the most crazy things. There was a dude who I reported today because that's what I do. I go around and find these people, report them because I don't want that shit anywhere on the internet. But they said stuff like an NSFW warning. This person said that toddler holes were so tight that they're basically asking for it. His exact words.
Wow.
Bloody hell! Why? And
this person isn't banned. This person still isn't banned. I reported this person. They're still not banned.
Son of
You
a
have
bitch.
people posting child pornography, not getting banned, and that's the thing. These social media sites are also part of the problem that bring out the worst in people because they don't ban any of this stuff. Did you know? Funny
And you
story.
can't call the cops on them. Considering,
Well, you can on
you
some of them.
know,
You can on some people, and
Well-
I've seen people do it before
well,
on like.
remember what happens if all those swatting incidents.
True, but there are stories of like actual people who individual cases have gotten the police report them on like if like they personally did something because there's a difference between like just posting random CP that like you probably got from like somewhere on the dark web or something and literally saying this is a child that I did it with, here's their pictures. That's a difference. Or saying something like this actually happened a few months ago. One of the people I've reported, and this is one of the cases where I and others had to literally like call authorities, was a guy who said he was going to force himself onto his little sister.
Ugh,
Yeah,
nasty.
it was benign. It was awful, but like, you know, that's the thing. These people don't get banned. These people don't get banned until they are found and then have like report bombs. But if someone so much as says anything that could be considered conspiratorial on the right, they get banned instantly, and their things are just like moderated. That's the funny thing. If you talk about COVID or hydroxychloroquine or anything like that on Twitter, automatically flagged. No, you don't get banned particularly. Your posts get flagged. Fun story. All you have to do is type in oxygen frequency and you'll get flagged for COVID.
Bloody
That's
hell.
weird.
In any case, so if I wrote the following, plant produced oxygen has a frequency to be flammable, that will get marked as COVID. But that's the thing. They have an automatic flag for that, right? They have an automatic flag for if you're talking about COVID or something like that. But they don't even have anything. They don't have anything that they do to combat the pedophiles, the zoophiles.
Yeah.
They don't have anything to
Oh my
combat
God,
those
the
people.
zoophiles.
They don't have even any staff members to combat that. These people don't get banned until like 50 or so people report them.
It's honestly moronic, and I'm pretty sure it's because Twitter has quote-unquote better things time. Like,
Some people
changing
even- some
most
people-
of it- like changing so much of their
Yeah.
code to be PC.
Yeah. But I think some people even say they might actually like be fine with it, because the fun fact is they've actually banned some of these, I'll just say it, pedo hunter accounts. Pedo hunters and the people who find and report these pedophiles. They've banned some of them. That's the thing. That's funny.
It's genuinely sad.
Yeah. Wait, no. And that's even better.
And again,
If they can they ban these people pretty much automatically. It's not like I will actually lose all faith in Twitter if it's actually someone went to these accounts and said, "Oh, the ZPD, Zoophile Police, ban them, just ban them." If someone actually went in there, saw that account, and banned it, that would make me lose so much faith in humanity instantly. But I think even then, even if it was a bot, even if it was their algorithm said, "Yeah, this is pretty problematic, let's ban it." Well, why do you have that being flagged as problematic and not, I don't know, the actual accounts posting CP?
Yeah, it's a very
well,
weird,
more so the
odd
fact
system.
that they don't really, that I'm not so sure they actually care. I mean, as
They
long
don't.
as it's getting them
Yeah, they care more about their politics and their political crap, and it's benign,
And they're growing.
you know. And people
Yeah.
Overgrown.
people eat it all up. People eat up the news cycles. People eat it all up. It's benign to me, you know.
Because they just want to hear what they, want to hear.
What they agree
They
with,
don't
yes. And that also
Yeah.
gets into one of my original
Echo
points.
chamber.
One of my points. The media, like Jason said, has fallen into a more monetary thing. This is a sort of strategy I've learned as of late. I've been looking into, and I found the media. Let's make this scenario, Elijah, because you said about the Rushed thing. If every news source was saying the exact same thing and they were all being truthful, what news source would you pick? What news source would you watch?
No, I don't watch any of them.
Yeah.
I
Say
think that's the point.
let's say
That's the problem.
Fox News. Let's
Yeah.
say if you said I'll watch Fox News, you know they're all saying the same thing, so why not? Then CNN's not getting that money. CNN's not getting that money. ABC's not getting that money, and NBC is not getting that money. You know, so they had
I'm thinking about it, we're not gonna
so with the advent of television news and stuff, a lot of these news sources after the I don't know exactly when it was because you had some time during the beginning of cable news and stuff where they were actually being honest and it was more so like like you would watch someone for their personality, you know, like Jimmy Fallon versus Jimmy Kimmel or something, you know, that would be basically it, not like actually Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, but like, you know, that sort of premise. You would go by the individual person's personality, you know. But like,
and once the company found that out, they decided to put more.
but that's the thing. No, it's also that these news sources, yeah, as television access became more mainstream, like it was easier to make a TV channel and stuff like that, and become a news source. More of these news organizations wanted a way where they can get as many people going to them instead of the competitors. So what do? They would put spin on things. They would fit a certain narrative. Did you know in the Obama era, CNN was actually pretty controversial in the things they said? Don Lemon went hard against the black community. He went hard against the black community, talking about crime, about how they were running crime and all that stuff back in the Obama administration. And now they're going like they're little Trump bots where there's a funny game. Go to like Fox News or ABC or something, and they'll talk about like normal news and stuff like that. Turn on to CNN, it's just Trump. Like Trump.
Oh yeah, Trump news. That's all my dad watches.
There was this funny moment with Brian Stelter. You gotta hear this. Where he was talking about, he was ragging Fox News because they were constantly talking about Joe Biden and stuff. He was like, could you imagine if there was a news source that was dedicated to talking about nothing but Trump? And then he asked one of his guests, and she literally said, it doesn't exist. There is none. And I laughed my ass off because it's like, oh my god, you guys are the people who talk nothing but Trump, you know. But like,
if you look at
yeah,
if you look at
you can go on, Erwin. But
and also I guess they've all their own, and guess what CNN's niche is bragging on the president.
Yeah.
For who it is.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not so much like ragging on the president directly, because Trump was the only one that actually directly ragged on the president. During the Obama administration, they were just more talking about the individual, like, communities and stuff, like the black community or stuff like that. I don't think CNN, like, tended to go talk about Obama, like, directly about Obama or things he did, but, like, Trump is, like, literally just Trump, you know?
Yeah.
But it's easier to target like a first or something like.
You would sooner
president than target.
Yeah. You would sooner have every single news channel be honest about what they're reporting, than see CNN talk about anything other than Trump. But that's the thing. They want to make sure you go to them, so they'll play to a certain narrative. Be it CNN playing to the Never Trumpers or the Trump is evil types, or even Fox News having Tucker Carlson be like the more neutral guy who tries to say more neutral things. But that's a funny thing. Yeah. Tucker Carlson is a card being played in the game of news reporting, trying to get as many views and clicks as possible. He's a card. That's a card. So think of the news media and the cycle right now as a card game. You want to play the right cards to get people to watch you. So you play to a certain narrative. You play to a certain, like, philosophy. So CNN's playing the Trump, the Orange Man bad cards. And these other organizations are playing more Democrat-focused cards. Tucker Carlson's just another card. The whole idea of being honest and you know, going outside of your bias as much as possible is another card, and that hurts me.
Although that'll probably just keep happening until all those companies just collapse.
And they are collapsing. I tell you what, I tell you what, I think they really want Trump to win. I do think that CNN stuff, because what's CNN right now without
Yeah,
Trump?
you would-
What could CNN honestly do if Trump wasn't president? They would be done. No one would want to watch CNN anymore.
Almost completely.
They'd bankrupt
Yeah.
like that. They would go
Unless-
bankrupt in a second.
Unless some big unless there's some 180 twist and another female decides to try to be president, then they might have some leeway.
Maybe,
You know,
maybe.
it's easier to
Well, I
target the
mean,
entire group.
if Biden wins, we have a female president.
So yeah, they're gonna.
I wish
there
I could
might
not
be
laugh at that, because that's not like something you laugh at.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's sadly true. He's not going to make it in the first term. I bet you he won't even make it to the election. You know.
Mm.
But like,
True.
yeah. But
They
that,
already had a few parties. It's only a matter of time.
yeah. But that's the thing. Also, I think they do want to. There's a bit of like a slight conspiracy theory that these big like media sites like Twitter and all that stuff actually want Trump to win. Because think about it. What happens if you ban everybody who says anything that's not left leaning, like far left? Then you just get the far left to push out very, very crazy and very, I'll say it, racist things. And the average Joe is going to look at that and say, these people are crazy. What
No.
the fuck?
No, I'm pretty sure they're just gonna say thank you. I'm just gonna stay away from that entirely.
Yeah, and they'll vote for the guy. They'll vote for the guy who's against that. That's the thing. If people see that craziness and see it as craziness, they'll vote for anyone who's against it. They'll be against it. You know. So that's the idea there. But I don't personally believe it. I think they're just incompetent or stupid. A lot of these news reporters and people. You know.
Or both.
Well, you kind of need to be. You need to be smart.
Competent and greedy.
Like, you have to be kind of like, yeah, no, it pretty much, it should be both them. But yeah, that's the problem though about them. Is that like CNN's playing all these cards and stuff, and that's the thing. People are they're just playing to favoritism. They're playing the sides. They'll lie. They'll make things up just to fit the orange man bad narrative. And so many other news sites have fallen to that.
Yep.
I have rambled on for way too long. You guys should speak a bit more.
So let's see. What do I want to speak on? Well, besides,
Well, yeah, basically, everything was said already. Personally, news outlets only want to make it out quick because they want a quick buck. They want to adhere to different audience, so they seem more popular with that certain audience, and it's very annoying too, because not only are you getting cheated out of good quality news, but at the end of the day, when people are going to look back on this, what were you going to say?
I'm saying that they're pretty much cheating themselves. Right? Or they're pretty much waiting. They're pretty much firing shots there. They have no idea where they're going. They have no idea.
Yeah. They're not thinking long term, you're saying. But I think actually thinking
exactly.
about your point, Elijah, I don't think it's also, I think partially it is about the whole quickness of it, but I also think it is, and this is why I say I don't think they're dumb. Did you know that they had the George Floyd body cam footage for quite some time, but just never gave it out? They never showed it. We only saw it because someone in one of these organizations actually recorded it and then posted online. I tell you what, my whole stance on Derek Chauvin somewhat changed after seeing that. He's not that violent guy. He's just an idiot, in my opinion.
Derek Chauvin?
The guy who had his knee on George Floyd's neck. You know? Because the thing is, there was a moment during that body cam footage where Chauvin's in this situation. George Floyd has his hands behind his back cuffed. Chauvin has his arm like at George, has his arm like behind him, going into his arms and stuff, in between his arms and stuff, and has his hand there.
Yeah.
If Chauvin really was a violent guy, he could easily have just shoved George Floyd's face into the police vehicle, and nobody would be the wiser. Outside the body cam footage, no one would know.
Yep. That's really.
And he
that's
didn't
really
do it.
upsetting.
And he didn't do that. That's the thing. He didn't do that. They were actually pretty like good during that.
Well,
Yeah, well, he still
mind.
died. They weren't like perfect, but like, you know, some people say he might have died. He might have if he didn't resist and he didn't get on the ground with his knee on his neck, he would have still probably died on the ride there, because for those who don't know, toxicology report showed that George Floyd was on a drug cocktail at that time. He had fentanyl in his system. I think he was actually at lethal amounts of fentanyl and stuff. And you could see in the video, he was not in the right state of mind. He was not in the right state of mind. And one of his passengers, who they were talking to as well,
yeah.
literally like gestured to the cops. Something's going on with him. He's not in the right headspace. And he also had
Yeah,
heart
so
problems, so he might. People are
It
saying
was more than likely.
it's more than likely that no matter what have happened that day, he probably wouldn't have survived that day. Sadly. You know, I want to be hopeful that
Yeah.
there could have been a way where he survived, but you know, we can't change the past now, can we? Right?
Something like that.
Nope.
I mean, being that highly unlikely.
Yeah,
And
but
again,
that's
it would still be a losing situation.
yeah, but
Body cam footage showed that.
yeah,
And even if he was put into the cop car, that, you know.
well, he was put in the cop car, but he just kicked his way out of the other side. That's what happened. But that's the thing, though. The issue there is the news media had that footage for quite some time, but they just didn't show it. They knew that it would have stopped the riots, it would have stopped the protests in their tracks, but they didn't stop it. That makes me feel that they wanted that to happen. You know? There were people in the beginning of these riots. There were people in the beginning of the protests and riots who were making this like joke of the I believe it was Austin Powers, the villain there, the bald guy and stuff, like silver suit and stuff,
Yeah.
saying the pandemic didn't work, start the race war. And looking back on it, that kind of happened. They could have stopped that, or they could have changed people's perception of it and say, yeah, no, this is actually a different situation now. But they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it could have turned an image of police brutality and an image of a police trying to handle a man who is pretty much lost all of his marbles.
Yeah. But, you know, that...
Instead, they want,
yeah.
But instead, the story, so...
Yeah.
And not release it until things started dying down.
I'm going to brush on a topic that's probably going to be the next episode of this podcast, given the polls.
Yeah.
The Democrats are also part of this problem. They have manipulated and lied a lot. Even did you know recently, Andy Ngo went on to I believe it was the Senate, and talked with them, with senators, a bunch of government officials, about Antifa, about the violence of Antifa and stuff, and about how we should deal with them. The Democrats there lied so much, and they wouldn't condemn Antifa. Ted Cruz, I believe it was, said that neo-Nazis were bad, all these people are bad, and Antifa is bad. He looked at one of the other senators, one of the Democrat senators, and I can't remember what her name was, and he said, "Would you like to say something bad about Antifa?" And she leaves. She says something to him and leaves.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's benign to me. And they also lied. Jerry Nadler has said so many times, he's lied so many times saying Antifa's a myth. Antifa's a myth. There's no violence and stuff. It's like, what the hell? These people probably want Trump to win, because anybody who's sane can see these videos. Did you know what happened in Portland a couple of days ago? Scary shit.
What happened?
Guy was protecting a trans woman. From these rioters and stuff. And they chase him down, and he's driving his car, and he ends up crashing his car trying to get away from these people, and they beat the shit out of him. They beat him within an inch of his life,
Yeah.
Oh
That's not
my
cool.
god.
causing very bad brain damage, worse than Andy. No, it terrified me looking at that because it's like,
Jesus, how?
well, these people are
Is he comical?
like crazy anarchists. Not anarchists, I'll say that much. They're not anarchists, but they're just crazy people who want the ability to do whatever the hell they want. And I bet you what, because we've seen this before, when you go against them, you win. There was Antifa was trying to go into one of these residential neighborhoods, I believe in Seattle, and a bunch of people of that neighborhood got in their cars, went up to the Antifa members, and blocked them with guns and pointed guns at them. And the Antifa were like, "We're peaceful protesters" and stuff. And they're like, "Peacefully protest somewhere else." And they said, "Well, we're just being peaceful." And one of the women literally points their gun at them and says, "This is why you're being peaceful." But it's like, they want the ability to do whatever they want. And when you don't stop them and people don't stand up to them, they do whatever they want. And they beat people within an inch of their life. But the second you go against them, you win.
And whatever the hell they want, definitely some things that people would consider, well, what you would see in the Wild West.
Yeah. They don't want to defund their police. They want to become the police. And that's also another thing of like a lot of these Democrats. They are so they make up this narrative and people are none the wiser, and that's the problem. A lot of these politicians are really wishy-washy. Like Nancy Pelosi or these like career politicians who've been in this thing for decades. They just say whatever they have to get elected, and that's it. And also a situation. And now I'm pretty much just going into the next episode's territory. Like Kamala Harris, she said outright that she believed Joe Biden's accusers. Outright said it, and she also called Joe Biden, I believe, she basically called him a segregationist during their beginning of Democratic debates. She throws all that away the second she's asked to become his VP. Or a lot of these other politicians, just wishy-washy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't actually want to do anything.
Just carrying a dime the moment if things seem to go in their favor.
Yeah, they just say whatever they want to make you like them. They say whatever they need to in the moment. They don't have any principles. They don't have any morals. They don't hold anything but giving themselves power. Yeah, they just want them to give themselves power. They work at the behest of American people. They work against us. They have worked against us. NAFTA, the TPP was working against the American people. Was giving away our infrastructure.
And they'll just do it.
Yeah. And people think they're a part of the working class. They're for the working class. No, they're not. They're not for the working class. They go against the working class.
And Venezuela seems like a very rich country compared to us. They'll go to Canada and start the entire thing over again.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just that. Pretty much like.
Well, some people have actually a very interesting theory of the future. Is that the eastern states will defect to China, and that the Sunbelt states will become the western states will become the where new government is, and for some reason they also theorize Texas will give themselves up to Mexico. I don't believe it, but
Texans are well known for that.
Yeah.
If anything, Texas will rebel.
Texas would go to Mexico or the U.S. They would just become their own thing.
Yeah, I mean they could definitely do it.
Yeah, they would have a strong militia, right? Because like everybody there has a gun, right? Basically, everybody in Texas has a gun.
And they pay more to us than we give to them, so they can give everybody a Texas-based tax cut if it ever comes to that.
Yeah. Also, they also have Russian benefits on their side, in the fact that you know the whole phrase you can't invade Russia because like all the snow and all that stuff, you'll just die. Can't invade Texas because you'll get hit by a tornado. You'll get hit by like 10 tornadoes within the first mile.
And hail the size of clock.
Yeah. watch Texan scientists figure out how to control that, and then you just see in the sky a perfect like alignment of hail just hits every single one of your troops in the head. That'd be
Seriously,
funny.
that country, Texas becomes its own country. Place.
Yeah. But now we're going to like tomfoolery. But like that's the thing though. The Dems and all of them have fallen to this craziness just because they want to get elected. They want to say whatever they want, and they'll pander to anyone to get elected. You know, and that's the issue. Nobody cares. Nobody looks into this. No one investigates. No one researches, and people need to do that. You know.
I mean, it's more so the fact that they've pretty much some Democrats that are very powerful. They have one thing in common. They all have silver tongues.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what.
They know what to say.
They are very. Some of this Democrats, and I tell people, like the Democrat Party has fallen to some craziness, and they need a reset. They need to do something to change for the better. Because in California, you know, the worst state now. It's one of the worst states. They can't keep their power on, you know.
Yeah, because they.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've all. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said it before. They've pretty much removed their freedom of, you know.
Yeah.
Being segregated.
Yeah.
They pretty much removed their.
They're yeah. I'm getting into that. It was Democrats in California that pushed and passed Proposition 16, which repeals the civil rights law from California's constitution. So they can discriminate the state level. They can discriminate against people based on race.
Wow.
So people have to
like
wake up
there.
because there's so many people who, and this is also now again going into that problem. People who see it so much as a party issue. People think, oh, they're Democrats, they must be good. Oh, you're Republican, you must be bad. When it has to go to the individuals. You have so many awful Republicans, who are so just stupid, and I hate them. And you have a lot of the Republicans who have stupid positions. Like, as much as I really like the guy, I don't like Dan Crenshaw's stance on freaking Afghanistan. He thinks we should be there because if we're not there, it'll start another 9/11. I'm like, I don't agree with that.
And now.
You know.
I get where he's coming from, but it's stupid. It's all the same.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's the individual politicians that we should be looking at, and that's what people should all be doing. You know. Trump is. I'll say this right now. He's not a Republican. He's not a Republican. You have a lot of Republicans who don't like a lot of his stances. You know. He's very much so a populist. He's not a laissez-faire capitalist. He's not a, you know. He's not one of these, like, more right-winger types, you know? But that's...
So he's more so his own thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's, that's where you categorize him.
Yeah. But, like, that's the thing.
You have Republicans, you have Democrats, and then you have Donald Trump.
Yeah, you know. But that's the thing. You know, people need to look at this as a individual person issue. Because sometimes Democrats are bad, sometimes Republicans are bad, and we need to stop and we need to wake up and say, look, these politicians who are repealing civil rights law, out. These politicians who are keeping people in prison to use them as cheap labor, Kamala Harris, gone. But the people who actually care about the American people, the people who sell themselves out and throw away all their principles and go against the working class, Bernie Sanders, out. That's what people need to do. That's what people need to wake up and do.
Wouldn't it be better to call him a blatant communist?
No, he's not. He used to be for the working class. He used to be for actually like benefiting the country. Even yes, he was always a socialist and stuff, but he at least was for the working class. He said stuff like, you know, he said like open borders was a Koch brothers proposal. It was awful. You know, TPP was bad. Stuff like that. He actually said things that were really good for the American people, that American people really liked. Same thing that Trump said, actually. But he threw that away the second he got money. You know, funny story. He said on his original slogan that he was against millionaires and billionaires, and then he became a millionaire, and he took that out. You know.
And now he's against billionaires.
Yeah, he's exclusively against billionaires. But the thing is, he's now for open borders.
Trump.
Yeah, he's now for open borders. He's now for like these foreign trade deals. He's gone against it, and he's now benefiting big business and these big corporate like entities and interests. And that's what all these other Democrats have been doing, and a lot of these other Republicans have been doing. They are career politicians, and they are corrupt. They only work to serve their interests. And I think part of that solution would be legally, let's vote in Andrew Yang. Let's vote in Andrew Yang. I don't like him socially, but he has a good economic policy. I love Andrew Yang
True.
because you know what his stance on Senate, you know what his stance on the government is, and how we deal with like senators and stuff like that. While you're in the Senate, you will get very much so lots of money, very very big amounts of money, but you cannot get any other form of private income whatsoever the rest of your life after that. So you can't get another job. You can't be given donations. You can't be given a thing by anyone else. So that would make it where it's harder for them to be lobbyists. You know.
I mean, a little too much for me. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, but I like that idea because it makes it so that they can't you can't have politicians like Nancy Pelosi and all these people who've been in it for decades. We also need term limits. I think the maximum term limit should be 20 years. That's the longest you could be in a government position. 20 years. If
any government in all positions or
in any position other than presidency.
Yeah.
But if you're a senator or governor or stuff, maximum 20 years. Because we have people like Nancy Pelosi are going into their, I believe it's now her 17th term. She's been in it for, I believe, 42 years. The likelihood of her being crony, of her being like a lobbyist for big business is exponential. But someone like I don't know, even though I think she's an idiot, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's been in this for 4 years now. I think she was put in what 2016, right? Was it? I don't remember, but she.
I'm checking right now.
Yeah, but she's been in it for a little amount of time, and yeah, as much as I could say she's done bad things, she's done some pretty bad things. Like she drove out Amazon, taking out 40,000 jobs out in New York, and that was a pretty bad decision, pretty dumb of her. But she at least is not crony. She is at least working in some way for the American people, and we need more of that. We need a government. We need these lifelong politicians who've been in this thing for decades. Joe Biden's been in the government for 50 years. Over 50 years. And,
Yeah, it's almost sure.
Yeah.
It's almost sure that he's snorting coke with. He's pretty much snorting coke with Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, like, it's. The longer they're in government, the likelier it is that they are a government, like a crony, like they, lobby for big businesses. Hell, you have even evidence of this. His son was on the board for a Ukrainian business, right? We all know the story. His son was working for some Ukrainian business.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to speak the language. He didn't have any experience, but he was making shit tons of money. And then when they were trying to prosecute the company, Joe Biden literally went to the Ukrainian and said, I have $1 billion. You're not getting it until you fire that prosecutor. And they did. And that's, like, we have evidence of that. So we need all of these people who've been in this thing for so long out. Because those are the people who are most likely the cronies. But you have people who are not who have been out in it for a long time, who are not cronies. Like, as much as I think he has some pretty bad policies, Rand Paul, he's not like a lobbyist, and he at least values the Constitution and stuff. So that's the issue, though. We need people to wake up and say, look at these politicians, and say, is this person working in my favor as an American? If not, then get him out. Because it's those people who are hampering you and making it where you can't succeed. And if you get them out, you can succeed.
Hey man,
Yeah,
I
but
gotta
I'm
go.
likely.
But thank you for having me, though.
What was that, Elijah?
The political scene is literally a dance with 1,000. You have to know every little, even have a chance. Moving
You're cutting out.
Somewhere different. Sorry. It's really embarrassing here. Anyway, so that you have to that the political world is a dance with 1,000 steps a second. You need to know every little instance, and it's highly and people like you stated there. What's her name again? Biden's running mate.
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, Biden himself, Sanders, they've been long to know every little step, and they've grown cocky and greedy because of it.
Yeah. So I think like you need to have people have a good period in, because I think maybe I don't personally agree with this sentiment, but I think in his early days, Joe Biden might have actually he put in some pretty good policies in his early days. I'm not sure about exactly the policies he put in. I mean, he did write the 1994 crime bill, which awful, but but I think you're right. It's about time. It's about these people are after so long, they just become so cocky and think they're above the law. Kamala Harris. I just group them all together. She literally prosecuted a bunch of people hard for doing drugs, for drug use, and those were the people she kept in for cheap labor. But wait, let me finish. But then she was asked if she did drugs, and she laughed and gloated about it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, but you could prosecute people on this. You could prosecute anyone for it and keep them as effectively slaves. You could prosecute all these people, but you're so proud of doing it yourself. These people think they're above the law, and they're like, ha 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 ha, cackling.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like this time thing, but it's both a time thing, because this is why I agree with the term limits thing. Both because of time, because yes, time can make them a corrupt crony person. But as well, if they are naturally a corrupt and crony person and an evil person by heart, then you could just get rid of them. You could just say, after 20 years, you're gone. We don't need you anymore. The people, they might, even if the people are so stupid to let these people in for this long and just are like, oh, I guess I'll just stay. I'll just keep voting this person in. I think they're going to do good this time around. They say they're going to do good. Then after a while, it's just like, well, they're gone.
Like my uncle.
Yeah.
Like my uncle.
You keep cutting out.
Just keep saying that. It'll be
fine. Is what you're saying, right?
No. It'll be better next time.
I mean, that's also the thing. I don't get a lot of these people. They're just. That's the thing. You have so many people who don't read the news. Actually, they don't actually research. They don't actually do stuff. And I think anyone's watching this will probably take this to heart. Some of them. I know a lot of the people who watch it. Just research. Fact check everything. Be wary. Be concerned about every single thing you see on the news. Anything they say, you gotta say, is that true? Fact check them. Research to no end if you actually are invested in the thing. If they say something like, oh, I don't know, Trump supporters are stealing mailboxes, and you're thinking, Jesus Christ, that's very bad. Research it to no end. See if it's actually true before you actually say anything.
And even if it doesn't seem like all that, even if it doesn't seem all that big, still research a little bit.
Yeah,
it's genuinely true.
Did you know Facebook was caught? And this is, I'm gonna say something that's pretty conspiratorial, but it was actually like a thing. There was a claim that they had a silent study where they would flood certain people's news feeds with negative news and some people's feed with positive news, and they found that they could actually control people's emotions over a certain period of time. So don't always trust everything you see on social media. Don't always trust what you see on the news. Don't always trust all that stuff. Fact check. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust even your closest friends. Hell, fact check a lot of the things I've said during this episode. Fact check everything we've said over this podcast if you so want to. But don't just take what we say for granted. Fact check it.
Bingo.
and that seems to be it. That seems to be a good that seems like a good middle ground that I think we can all agree on. Everyone needs to wake up and say, "Look, I want to actually research and I want to try to get the facts. At least work to get the facts.
Oh yeah, and,
You're not guaranteed the
and
facts."
speaking of that,
Yeah.
just lobby for, just try to get all news companies, if they're doing anything on TV, they just have to show the sources of all their information just on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
Let's get a cease and desist order.
Okay. That's
maybe
another legal thing. Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
No, that was
Okay.
No, that was just about it.
But yeah, you're not guaranteed the facts anywhere. You're not. You are not guaranteed the facts even by your closest closest loved one. Everyone has a slight bias. So it's up to you if you truly want to know what's going on and you feel like things are important right now, as most of you should, with like going on with COVID and all that stuff, to fact check and to research and actually look into any news source and fact check it. Because don't always get your news source from one side. You know, they've banned people for saying things like hydroxychloroquine could help, or saying things like COVID numbers aren't that bad. You know, so just always know that you're not getting the full truth. And if you want the full truth, you got to do some research, you got to do some legwork, and it's going to be difficult, but that's how you get the truth in this current climate. That's been all I had to really say today. You have anything to close off on, Erwin?
Honestly, genuinely, well, not really, but I will leave you off with this. Just do it, people, even a little bit. Just find any damn reason. Hell, just put a part of the day specifically meant for fact checking things found on the internet if you have to. Just do something. It's better than just being a sheep. Don't be sheep, people. Please don't. I have lost faith in humanity for the most part.
Thank you for joining us on this podcast today.